There we go. That's a fantastic intro. I made that.
That's some intro music, mate. That was
Yeah,
loud, but yeah, very good.
yeah,
It
right?
woke me up.
Like, so we had a much better intro song, and I feel like I mention this every time that we start this podcast. And uh, I don't know whether we lost the rights to it, but it's no longer in our library of audio. And so I have no way of getting it back. So I only have a 4-second clip of it, and like looping it for for like 20 seconds just sounds wrong. So I don't do it. Anyways, it wouldn't be a pie podcast if we didn't talk about the behind the scenes creation of it. So I apologize. Um, my name is Ben Klein. I am the owner of Geek Proposals and the Chief Recipe Officer here at Proposal Industry Experts. Today is the Thursday temperature check. Thank you for joining us. This will be the second in the start of the year. Yeah, we had some scheduling difficulties and stuff like that. So Jeremy, you get to be number 2. Rochelle is still in the United Kingdom. I believe she is returning next week. I am super excited. We'll get to hear all of her crazy stories. Oh, and there you go. You already have a call out from the audience, Jeremy. So,
Oh, hi, Kerry.
anyways, so yeah, with me today is the absolutely fabulous Jeremy Brim. If you have been doing anything in proposals for any length of time, chances are you've either encountered his content, encountered someone who is instructed by him, or encountered him in person. Who knows? He is a renowned instructor and honestly, just like a visionary in the area. Maybe am I making it too big with visionary? I like visionary.
No, I'm going to write that. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take that as a quote. Thank you, visionary.
Let,
I like it.
let me build your credentials right here. Anyways, but Jeremy and his company Growth Ignition have been thinking about doing some fun stuff with Pi. We are very excited about the possibility of, or not the possibility, but the actual partnership that we're going to try to make here. And so I thought we'd bring him on today and talk about it. But Jeremy, maybe you can give a little bit of a talk about yourself. Like it's time to toot your own horn, so to speak. So.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for having me on. Hello, everybody. So, toot my own horn, visionary. I like that. So, yeah, that's quite strong, mate. Fair play. I've been called a lot worse, I guess. So, yeah. So, Jeremy Brim. I've got a 25-year track record in helping B2B, B2G businesses grow, normally exponentially. I was lucky enough to grow up in bids and proposals, of course, like everyone, by accident as a youngster. Fell into it, and I had a wonderful work dad, a guy called Graham Keane, in my first real job, who was one of the best in the world in our game, really. And so we scaled a big bit of an outsourcing business called Mouchel. Together, we won every deal that we bid, quite big outsourcing TUPE transfer deals in UK public sector for about 7 years, scaled quite a big business. Lots of public sector workers transferring into our organisation and then us providing the service back to those local authorities or central government units. And that kind of got us noticed. In reality, I didn't know it was called that at the time, but what we were doing was capture. And so we built a team of people that were fantastic at writing bids and all of the commerciality of that and solution architects and all sorts. But actually, later on, I realised the real juice, it was in the capture phase. It was how we shaped those deals, influenced clients. And so we were ahead of the pack when it came to tendering. And so anyway, so yeah, I had a great time there. Followed Graham to a company called EC Harris, who are the world's kind of preeminent project managers, quantity surveyors. If you wanted to be a quantity surveyor in Europe or the rest of the world in the noughties, you probably wanted to work for EC Harris or one of their close competitors. And had a great time for a number of years helping them scale their public sector business, municipal, federal business around the world, and did a great job of that, and eventually helped sell the business to Arcadis, who are much bigger in the States, our colleagues in North America. may recognise the brand, big environmental engineering, architectural business. And so I helped integrate the two businesses for a year. I learned a lot about MI data that boards need, how to value a business in effect, and advised the boards on their integration of that stuff. And then I left because I realised a lot of the people that I liked to work with were going to retire out, take their earn out the back of the sale and things. So my last real job was with Mace, the people who built the Shard and the London Eye in London, latterly Battersea Power Station in my era, Tottenham Stadium, but Kingdom Tower in Saudi, that nice hotel in Singapore that looks like a ship. They were the construction managers on that. So a lot of the big signature projects in the world, Mesa project program managers or contractors on. And so I helped double the turnover of that business in 4 years by doing a lot of the stuff that I do now, helping them understand how to bid well, but moving back up the funnel in terms of how to capture those key deals, key account management of their key accounts, because 80% of your margin probably comes from 20% of your clients. And so act accordingly, we say. Bit of account-based marketing, and then business planning, market research at the top. So basically, my dad pulled me to one side in March 2018 and less than politely explained I was killing myself making other people rich again. And he was right. They had a bit of an intervention because I've got diabetes now and all sorts. Worked a bit too hard. Too many late night pizza parties like bidding people have. All of that kind of stuff. Actually, probably too many celebratory beers, I guess. Champagne, but I would love to. I'd love to say.
You don't you vilify pizza.
No, it's definitely the carbs in the pizza, unfortunately. So he challenged me to start my own business with a much bigger overlay of what I'm good at and what I enjoy doing. So I got into line managing 50 odd bid managers, bid writers, capture people, marketeers at Mace, and actually I'm not a very good line manager. I don't like the HR personnel stuff. I love developing people. I love helping them win, helping them develop process capability. And so I do a lot more of that these days. So we at Growth Ignition, we help clients understand what good looks like, benchmark their current work winning efforts against best practices through the whole funnel uniquely, I think. So how they stand in client experience, bidding, capture, key account management, marketing, and their business planning efforts. Show them what good looks like, and then we help them execute on the recommendations that come out the back of that. So help them train their people, build processes, give them technology to support it, all of that good stuff. So yeah, well, that's us. I was going to say,
I love how casually
I went on a bit.
No. I love how casually you just kind of like similar to we had Christina Carter on last time, and both of you, maybe this is a UK thing. You're just so casual about like, oh yeah, I did this and this and this with major company X, and whatever, no big deal. Like it is this is a UK thing, right? To downplay your achievements or something. Like I get it.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I've been very lucky to get to work with some truly exceptional people and tag along on their coattails, and so I've been very fortunate. The business has been really successful. So I solely work with people that I like and that I want to help be successful now. Am I allowed to swear on this, Ben?
You are. This is a swearing available podcast. Yeah.
So I've actually tried to give up swearing, but just my wife and I. She owns a marketing agency. I'm in her office actually. We have a no dickhead policy, and so we only work with people that are good people with good integrity, that have good standards, and we enjoy ourselves doing it largely. There's a whole other story about our financial freedom journey. We own a business that coaches people in that. Destination Freedom. We own a marketing agency. I had a Maserati dealership for a while. That was fun. And we own a forest for carbon offsetting and all sorts of things. So we have lots of interests and get into lots of things. But what I enjoy most is going back to basics and helping people how to learn how to write winning proposals.
Yeah.
Because I'm a geek on that stuff. Probably my favourite bit's working on capture these days, and teaching people how to do that. My second favourite bit is helping people learn how to write winning bids, I guess. So
Perfect.
very, very, very fortunate, and so fully support Pi and your endeavours in creating a community, a vibrant community for our discipline, because it's important. There's probably 250,000 professional bidding people in the world, I think, and it's important that we give them a space to learn and share and develop. And so, thank you for the invitation to be the first organisation to partner with you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. But this is not the
Likewise.
first time that you've provided us something. You were at our RF conference, where you were
Yeah.
talking about capture and capture management, and how it was important to proposals, and that was a really good session.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I
I
think
got
that
slightly upstaged, didn't I? I got slightly upstaged because you had Mike Reeder on, my best mate, afterwards, who got elected as an MP in Parliament. So you sort of pissed on my chips a bit. But I'll let him off because it is quite impressive what he's done, the bastard. There you go. I went to see him at his Hogwarts of an office
yeah,
the other week. He's doing very well. I'm very proud of him.
perfect. But like you helped bring him on, so I don't know. Do you get like 10% of the kudos, 20% of the kudos for like what?
He's a politician now, mate. They don't give away any kudos, do they? He's fully sloshing about in that awful universe. So fair play to him.
Yeah. So and like Jeremy makes a really good point here in that, how critical it is. Like you heard him say at the very beginning of this, that they were winning every deal, and it really sounds like the majority of that is in the work that you do before the proposal starts, right?
Yeah.
Is in the capture and everything like that. But that doesn't mean that the proposal process is without value, right? Like there's something there, like beyond just ticking a box. But it is
Oh
it is
god, yeah.
something that it's something that needs to be done hand in hand, right? Like you you want to have good capture and you want to have like a good clean proposal go across the seat. And if you are a Pi member, of course, Judy Brandt, yesterday was giving a speech on this exact same thing, but specifically for American GovCon, in the idea of
Mm.
like, hey, if you haven't engaged with the stakeholders, with the interested parties, with the end users, like prior to the bid coming out, you're probably dead in the water, and as far as it comes from American government. But yeah,
Yeah, that's very true.
she was very much
That's
in line
very
with
true.
you that like, hey, capture is critical. But because of that, though, you have developed, like, Growth Ignition has developed a whole body, of work and of courses and instructionals on like how to be better inside this industry, right? And
Yeah,
like how
yeah.
and for the most part, like this is tested material. Like you haven't just like, oh, like from an academic, like from the high tower, like looked down and said, oh, I think we should do this. This is actually like, it's gone out there, it's been tested, you've done everything, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we deliver some of the biggest capability and transformation programs in the world in this space. So I've got less shy in showing off. I'm in and out of the boardrooms of multi-billion-dollar organisations every day. I was prepping today for a holdings board meeting with a £2 billion turnover organisation where they're asking me how should they grow their business, how do they do market research, which markets to consider, and then how to execute on that. And so last year, with a different multi-billion turnover organisation, we trained 100 people, all their pre-construction people, nationally in how to do business planning, market research, account-based marketing, CAM capture, bidding, client experience stuff, negotiation, over 6 days worth of content for each of the cohorts. So, this is truly well tested content that has been used to double the margins of most of my clients. I tend to say, if you buy us in for training, we'll probably return at least 10 times what you spend on your training ticket in profit back to your business within a couple of years. For some organisations, depending on what their multiplier is and what they do, it can be 100 times.
Mhm.
But certainly, where we do proper transformation stuff with our clients, the full ticket stuff, we double their margins in 2 to 3 years, and we've got lots of case studies. And it's all, you're absolutely right, Ben. I got into a bit of an entanglement with a competitor of mine a few months ago on LinkedIn because I said that bidding is just the end game, and they were trying to say that I was being cursory about proposals people. It's actually the opposite. We've got to be able to put the ball in the net in the end game, absolutely. And of course, we've got to be able to win and get onto particular panels and frameworks to get access to opportunities often. So proposals is absolutely critical, but the best people in the world to run a capture campaign are proposals people, in my view, because we're excellent at running a campaign to win a deal. It's just normally we've only got the bid phase to do it. Give those people a year or 18 months to build their campaign, they'll knock it out of the park. So, and there's lots of, dare I say, American sourced best practices in the world, and that's all good, apart from most of the world doesn't operate to American standards. And so they're actually mostly British, dare I say. If you go to Australia, bits of Asia, you'll very often trip over management consulting types who are Brit expats running big procurements. Had it all the time. When I won the Goldman Sachs Global Framework for EC Harris, that was based out of New York, but it was Brits running the actual procurement. So you see this stuff. So you need a balance of both, and tested in other markets like Asia, Middle East. So we've tried to make it a world view and a balanced view with the right maturity across bidding and capture, and with a bit more depth. A lot of the content in the world is quite from a bidding lens because it's been developed by bid writing type people, and that's cool. But I've actually been an account leader at EC Harris, shaping propositions to client facing, and being the capture lead on capture campaigns. So there's bits missing, particularly around solution development in the capture phase, co-solutioning with clients, procurement shaping. So we've developed a whole bunch of content in partnership with Cranfield University and the UK Department for Business and Trade, actually, in those spaces, and how we help UK businesses win work abroad, and how we attract companies from around the world to invest, US primes and primes from elsewhere in the world to invest with UK businesses. And a lot of that thinking is about how we collaborate, co-solution, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And so talking to my community, like the Pi people that are out there, the whole idea behind this. So Jeremy and Pi, or Growth Ignition and Pi, we've been in talks for a little while and stuff like that. And one of the things that we wanted to think about was what is kind of the future of education inside of our industry. And part of the idea behind that is, hey, we didn't want to, even with the advent of AI and other tools that are coming out, like software solutions and stuff like that, that will sort of adjust your process. At the end of the day, there are some core sales features that need to go into everything. And as much as Pi, one of our key pillars is innovation, we also understand that it has to be useful to you. It has to be valuable to you. And that's why a partnership with Growth Ignition looked so attractive, because you just heard him, Jeremy, casually say, oh, billion turnover companies. I don't know how many people in Pi actually have billion-dollar deals underneath their belt. I know that Unica, for example, is one of them. I myself, the largest deal I've ever done is, something in the neighborhood of half $500 million to slightly 3/4. And that was for an entire country's infrastructure project. We don't encounter companies like this in the bidding process, but his experience in this area is massive. He's been doing this in the UK again for 25 years. Jeremy, you've got the street cred.
I'm a non-exec for small businesses. It was the 5th birthday today of my favourite client. In fact, they're not really they're clients, they're family, really. Cast Interiors in London. A good friend of mine has scaled a business from nothing to 60 million turnover in 5 years. She had literally a cry on my shoulder in a Starbucks 5 years ago, been made redundant. What should I do? And I coaxed her into starting her own business, and she's absolutely smashed it, my friend Zoe Moss. So I work with UK smaller businesses as a non-exec and advisor, so that they've only got 120 people, but I work with 50 people architecture firms and all sorts. So you've got a bit of breadth, haven't you, darling? So it's all good. But what I was excited about in our conversation, Ben, is I think it's a key point to make. This is the first partnership for Pi, but it will be the first of many. It was important to me. So I don't want to dominate the education curriculum for Pi. I've got some training courses in various types of bidding stuff, bid team training, a bidding basics thing, bid writing course, capture course, but there needs to be other parties that bring their content into the mix. It was helpful that I already had the content library in video form and able to deliver via webinar and live, where we could plug and play. But we're looking to develop other partners to take forward the mantle in subject areas like how do you deploy AI into your business, all of the stuff that you guys are great at, and more detailed bid writing stuff, general business writing, etc., etc. So we're looking forward to finding more partners alongside me, because this isn't about making money for me. This is about helping make some money for the community to help it develop, and give back a bit, really.
Yeah.
And broaden. And from an integrity perspective, it's very important for Pi that it is vendor agnostic. That you're not having vendors being the tail that wags the dog. You guys have to be the masters of your own destiny. So I thought it was important to say, from a sort of governance perspective, relationship perspective, I'm a supplier, I'm a friend. I'll do this for as long as you want me to, but I'm not telling you what to do, and I'm not taking any money off of you guys that I shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, that's we appreciate that, and honestly, I think that's been the best part of our conversations is your highlighting of the fact, like, I do not want to own your education process. You haven't been asking for exclusivity, you haven't been asking for anything, like, and that is the values that we want to promote here at Pi. You have made such a great point at the very beginning of this conversation where you said there are 250,000 bidding professionals out there, and like the largest organization really only addresses 30 or 40,000 of them. There are just a lot of people being currently unserved in the market, who really should be helping to elevate this whole profession. So super excited. So with that in mind, for the Pi folks out there, communications will be coming out all this month. We've been working with Jeremy on creating a package of things that we believe will be exciting for the Pi membership. We are going to be running that market. There will be some special discounting event available for the Pi members, some special offers that are available for the Pi members to help them get access to this really, really exciting education. And Jeremy has personally promised to fly over and do on-sites for every single Pi member, regardless of the size of your class, single members, multiple members. No, I'm totally joking. I'm totally joking.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Well, we'll see. We're going to have to see how it goes. People might not be interested. It might catch on like wildfire. We will see how it goes. I would just a technical point, Ben. We need your members to go via the link that you put into your platform or website in your members piece. It will take them to a hidden page of my website. When you purchase or register an interest or whatever you hopefully do, please do it through that Pi page, and then it registers the discount for you guys, and it also registers some money back to Pi, because if you click elsewhere in our website and purchase elsewhere, I won't be able to track it back. So please do make sure you follow the Pi link and have that page that's currently up, Growth Ignition growthignition.co.uk/Pi, PIE. Register your interest there, and away you go.
We'll have the link in the show notes and everything else so that you can pre-register interest. And then when we go live, we'll have announcements both in the Pi community, on LinkedIn itself, as well as in our emails and everything like that. But super, super excited. We've been working on this for quite a while. We teased it out at the RFWin conference last year. We teased it out at our end of year podcast. So yeah, it's good to be finally getting the rubber to the road, and super, super important that we start getting this information out there for all of you. But anyways, so Jeremy, and I did surprise you with this right at the beginning of the session. At the very end, we call this the Thursday temperature check, i.e. like sticking your finger in the pie to make sure that everything's okay with the world. But we have a co-name, like a subtitle, which is Tales from the Pitch. And this comes from a habit that I had when I attended conferences. I always wanted to find out people's like wildest stories in the world of procurement. They can be humorous, they can be disastrous, anything that like humanizes the proposal process. So you have 25 years of experience. Surely in that time there has been a deal that is like worth coming up and like sharing a beer with when you're talking to other
Yeah.
proposals. Yeah.
Well, there's a couple that come up in our training that we do actually. So we talk about. I did a post on LinkedIn the other day actually about what I call the things that we know to be true, kind of the golden rules in growing your business, and particularly in the bidding phase. And
Yeah.
one of those is sponsorship. Um, Having good sponsorship from a board member or level below board uh, of your bid is game changing. If you get that across your bids off into the future, you will win more business. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with it because they feel those senior people, their boss's boss's boss, are looking at their homework, and they might feel that they could have a career defining moment, as I call it, if they don't do a good job. But actually, the benefit of having somebody senior involved wildly outweighs the disbenefit, because you get the right budget, the right people released, the right efforts. They'll go and talk to the right people, principals meetings, all that kind of stuff. You get better fellowship. All your youngsters will want to be involved because they either consciously or subconsciously realise that there's limelight to be had. So there's top down, bottom up energy, but it creates the right vibe around your bid. So my story is where I really, really didn't have that, and it was horrible. And I get to look at it once a week. And so Mace, when I was at Mace, my team bid for the construction of Google's European headquarters in London,
Oh
which is currently
no.
still being built right next to platforms 9 to 11 of King's Cross Station, which is my station I come into. So it's as long as the Shard is tall. It's called a landscraper,
Yeah.
massive building. There is actually a funny story behind why it's the last building being built in that development. Apparently, Larry, one of the two founders of Google, or now Alphabet, was going for a wee in the gents at the office in America, and he overheard someone saying they didn't like the design of the building, thought it looked boring, and so he just cancelled it and got a whole new design. And so that delayed the project by about 5 years. So they built all the other buildings around it in the development. So that's why it's last, and it's a bit awkward trying to build this massive building in amongst all these smaller ones. But anyway, the board of Mace, at the time, the chief exec and the COO for construction had an argument about who was going to sponsor this bid. They disagreed, and so they just both left us holding the baby. And it had catastrophic impact because we couldn't name a project director on a £1 billion project, which is a critical thing. We couldn't field a team until too late. We couldn't answer certain questions just because a couple of the boys that own the firm had a bit of a dust up about it. So I wasn't personally. I was involved in some of the early doors stuff. I wasn't personally involved in the actual bid because I was off doing some big government thing. But it was horrendous for my people in my team because you're carrying, when you're working on a bid that you're not going to win, and it's not going well. And they had that for like 3 months, and now we all get, because funnily enough, Lend-Lease won the project, and it's gone really badly for them. It's very over budget, very over program, and so it's still being built now. I left Mace 6 years ago, and it's still being built. And so it sort of haunts me that I have to see this bloody great big building every time I come into London on the train, about once or twice a week. And what a farce that was. So that's seared into my consciousness. If you don't have a sponsor behind you on a bid, go and get
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
If they don't want to sponsor it, don't bid it. It ain't worth doing. End of story.
I would love to see the bid postmortem on that. Like bid lost due to like TIFF. Like
No one really had the balls to go and tell them that was why. It was kind of, and helpfully we won some other stuff like Tottenham Stadium at the time, so it sort of got smoothed away. But that was what really happened, whether they like me saying it or not.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Stephen jumps in here with egos are interesting, huh? Great story. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen.
Senior terrorists, I call them. You've got to manage your terrorists, manage out the risk of senior terrorists. Yeah.
Feels like we just needed like a parent in the room to sit them down and give them like some beers and a
Don't
and tell them they can't.
don't get me started. Don't get me started. The amount of my life I spent in meeting rooms with those boys. Don't get me wrong, incredibly successful people.
Yeah,
Wildly fantastic guys, but that was a howler. I have to say, very silly.
fair enough. All right. Well, thank you for adding to our library of tales. We appreciate it, and I am sorry that King's Cross Station is always going to have this emotional resonance to you.
Haunting,
Haunting.
haunting.
All right. Well, listen. Thanks everyone for joining. This was the Thursday Temperature Check. Again, announcements for the Growth Ignition Partnership and the specific link that will be available solely to Pi members for your exclusive access will come out over the following weeks when Rochelle gets back from London. We're looking forward to it, getting you the information that you need. And you heard Jeremy's commitment to the industry as a whole. So super, super excited about what's happening this year. All right. Well, listen, everyone, that's your Thursday Temperature Check. Y'all take care, and we will see you next week. And